Prime Minister Mark Carney is rejecting a U.S. official's account of Carney's phone call yesterday with U.S. President Donald Trump. In an interview with Fox News, the U.S. Treasury Secretary claimed Carney walked back parts of his speech in Davos, Switzerland. Well, this morning, Carney says that is not true. Here's more from the Prime Minister just last hour.
Scott Bessent says that you walked back your comments on Davos in a conversation with Mr. Trump. Is that the case, Prime Minister?
As I said, well, first off, the President called me yesterday. We had a very good conversation on a wide range of subjects, ranging from situation in Ukraine, Venezuela, Arctic security. We discussed as well what Canada is doing positively, and this is the context of our discussion, what Canada is doing positively to build new partnerships around the world. I explained to him our arrangement with China. I explained to him what we're doing, 12 new deals on 4 continents in 6 months. He was impressed. And what we intend to do going forward, as well as the opportunity to, of course, move forward on CUSMA. You will note that Minister LeBlanc had discussions with one of his counterparts in the last 36 hours about some of the modalities and things on the way forward. But to be absolutely clear, and I said this to the President, I meant what I said in Davos. It was clear, it was a broader set of issues, that Canada was the first country to understand the change in U.S. trade policy that he had initiated, and we're responding to that. We're responding positively by building partnerships abroad. We're responding positively by building at home, and we're prepared to respond positively by building that new relationship through CUSMA. He understood that, and it was a good conversation, as I say.
So you didn't walk back your comments?
No.
Mark Carney, they're clearly saying, I said what I said, I meant what I said, and we're still going to have to, of course, watch for any reaction to this out of the White House. But for now, let's bring in Janice McGregor live in our parliamentary bureau. And Janice, you and I started last hour wondering what Mark Carney was going to say about this phone conversation, and now we know.
Yeah, fairly concrete oral readout, if you will, from his perspective of how this phone call went, one that he says the U.S. president initiated. I took particular interest in the way he was framing the conversation about the other trade agreements that Canada has been pursuing around the world, this diversification strategy. Notice how the Prime Minister there said that he told Donald Trump that Canada was doing this because of actions the U.S. took, because of how the U.S. had signaled that it was going to take a different approach going forward, making what Canada was doing not seem like something that was intended to be an attack on the U.S. or something that would threaten its largest trading partner, but in fact something it needed to do because of the choice that its largest trading partner had taken to pursue different kinds of trade relationships, to rethink, frankly, the whole thing around the world. Mark Carney here saying that when he put things in this light to Donald Trump, explained all the deals he's been doing around the world, including the one in China, that the response from Donald Trump, by his telling, was a good conversation. So fascinating to hear him de-escalate, but also at the same time double down and not back off what he said in Davos, which, didn't explicitly talk about Donald Trump or even the U.S. administration's specific decisions of late at any point in the speech, but was offering an alternative vision, an alternative framing for the way forward. And I think, everyone who listened to it knew why this alternative articulation was necessary at this time. I want to play you another clip from cabinet ministers just on their way in. The cabinet started at 9 o'clock this morning. This is Industry Minister Mélanie Joly. She was in Toronto yesterday meeting with Doug Ford on the heels of his conversation to kind of kiss and make up with Ontario's Premier, who wasn't initially anyway a fan of the deal they worked out in China. Listen to how Mélanie Joly says the cabinet is approaching the rhetorical onslaught coming from Washington right now.
When President Trump speaks, we listen and we take good note. But at the same time, until actions are taken, we stand by our position.
I took note of, even in some American analysis, an increasing skepticism that these threats, as Melanie Joly alluded to there, really always translate into action. And, the extent to which this is kind of guidance for Canadian officials, frankly, to be blunt, about when to freak out and when not to freak out. Bloomberg, I think, even has a pie chart out there this week breaking down just that sort of when a Trump threat happens, there's only a certain slice of the total kind of threat universe that results in a concrete action. Other times it's pulled back, or it's never implemented, or it's just left to be studied and investigated for a long period of time. And trading partners have to calibrate their responses with the knowledge that not every threat follows through. Maninder Sidhu, the international trade minister today, didn't talk about Trump specifically, but was emphasizing the big wins that he feels his trade diversification strategy is notching in China, in Qatar most recently. India talks accelerating visit there coming up. Dominic LeBlanc, though, the lead minister on the U.S. file, breezed on by, did not engage with reporters today. In terms of the task he has, though, ahead with the CUSMA review, the Heritage Minister, Mark Miller, acknowledging for reporters that in terms of the irritants in that review, the Online Streaming Act, the Online News Act, remains a problem in Washington. People will remember the big fight over having news links on Facebook, Facebook not wanting to pay for that news content. Google, another digital giant, did reach a settlement with the Canadian government on that. That's why you still get news links on Google. But a lot of tensions remain. The U.S. Trade Representative really would like to see Canada change its policy when it comes to online streaming as well. But Miller suggested those acts aren't going anywhere. So there are some tough conversations that are going to be happening, but perhaps not between Carney and the president at that level.
As you say, we track the de-escalating double down that Mark Carney gave us earlier just last hour. And I know that you're also watching the cabinet meeting itself and anything that might come from that. But today is also about the opposition on Parliament Hill. What are we expecting to hear from Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre today?
Yeah, it's sort of at this hour, a debate getting underway shortly later this morning, rather. It's not 10 o'clock yet, it's 9 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, debate gets underway in the House of Commons for an Opposition Day debate. It is the Conservatives' chance to set the agenda on a topic of their choosing, and it is a very interesting choice they've made today. It builds on what Pierre Poilievre was doing on his social media accounts last week, trying to offer an alternative vision for responding to Donald Trump and the threats to Canada's sovereignty in this moment. We have not heard from the opposition leader in news conference form for some time. Conservatives very focused on a vote coming up at the end of this week on his leadership. And in that light, Poilievre needing to look like someone still very much on the attack, even as he was giving Mark Carney some kudos for how well that speech in Davos was received, even in conservative circles. Putting stuff like this out for his supporters to consider on social media, though. Take a watch.
Nearly a year into his term, the rhetoric has changed, but the reality is not. The illusion of purpose is there, but the results have not shown up with it. We need to do things, not just say them.
So, debate today is on a specific motion that lays out what Conservatives would do were they in charge of this file right now. They are making proposals to repeal legislation that they believe is holding back Canada's economy. Incentives they say they would give provinces to drop their internal trade barriers, specific ways to reward investors who put their capital into making this country work better, and also moves they say they would make to protect Canadian inventions and keep them from being sold off to other countries. So their vision for how to protect economic sovereignty in this country, the subject of debate all day. This is something that will result in a non-binding vote, but nevertheless interesting to see if any Liberals choose to agree with at least some of these proposals. And as Poilievre often says to Mark Carney, feel free to steal them. We'll see if the government does that.
Boy, after a 6-week break, politicians are back there in Ottawa with a vengeance. It's a busy week and a busy day. Janice, thanks for breaking it all down for us.
You're welcome.